Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show, Red Pill Edition. My name is Leon Jones, and this afternoon I'm going to get right into the topic. This is going to be part 3 on why some men cannot be red pill or MGTOW. And I have the answer right from my head, and I'm going to give it to you right now. The answer is money, power, and influence. Now, what do I mean by that? You see, when it comes to being a red pill man and a MGTOW man, we tend to not believe the hype. We're not gullible. We don't need the 5 powers of society to conduct our lives. And if you don't know what the 5 powers of society are: education, media, religion, corporate jobs, and government. Well, just to let you know, the individuals who are running these entities are men. These men act like they're important because they are in positions of power. And what these men do, they basically have become traitors to working class men. This is where your child support system happens. This is where the sexual harassment laws happen due to human resources. Everything's about women, to make women happy. Now, why is this? Because they're influenced by the feminist Marxists out here. And see, a lot of men don't know this because they think everything sounds good. Well, as a true red pill and MGTOW man, these entities want you to stay dormant. See, they love a quiet man. Because a man who is educated, and I'm talking about self-educated, not college educated, because college education is nothing more than indoctrination of Marxism. But somebody who's self-educated is one who actually utilizes his resources and he learns. And then he applies the resources and the information so he can live a comfortable life. But see, a number of men out here are lazy. And in fact, their laziness puts them in that comfortable position. This is why you hear some men out here say, well, it is the way it is, because they don't want to fight for anything. And see, these men are really blue pill men because they've been influenced by their mothers. They've gone to school and they've had female teachers. They've also been influenced by the so-called traditions. And what I mean by traditions, well, they're used to catering to women, putting women on a pedestal. And at the end of the day, many of them are broke. And when they become angry, they're really angry because they can't have a woman. See, when you are used to the comfortability of being on a plantation, you're always going to be gullible to the system. And it's men like these who are your politicians, your judges, your teachers, your hierarchy or executive managers in the corporate world. Now you see, men with these positions of power are narcissistic. But they're also insecure. Because I've actually gone to conferences with some of these men who think they're powerful because they wear a suit and tie. They don't have anything to talk about but work because their position is what defines them. Well, this is where women get that nonsense from too when it comes to, oh, I'm college educated. I'm independent. I have a job which gives me money and I can do whatever I want to do. Well, when you identify yourself by what you do, that means you don't know who you are. See, a number of these men don't know who they are. And see, the reason why a number of men cannot be red pill or MGTOW men is because they don't understand how the system works. And see, the system would not function if the majority of men were red pill and MGTOW. You would not have the JB jewelers out here. You would not have the retail stores. You would not have men going out on Valentine's Day and Christmas and on Christmas buying women gifts or buying women gifts on their birthdays, because the retailers would go belly up. And some of them have. Because you have women who actually went out on Valentine's Day and shopped for themselves. Also, if you had men who were truly red pill and MGTOW, because you have a number of men who are truly red pill and MGTOW who understand the system, and they've decided to opt out of the system, which is smart. But if you had the majority of men in these positions of being red pill and MGTOW, ones who understand the philosophy, you wouldn't have an education system. Because men, for the most part, if they've been raised right, they're not gullible. They're critical thinkers. Men would not even subject themselves to being part of the education system as a professor unless they're teaching STEM. But when it comes to a number of men, particularly young men and some old men, they're influenced by the money, the power, and the influence of other men and institutions, just like women are. This is why these men will validate women. I see it on YouTube all the time where you have a number of men who are on women's hangouts. And they're on women's hangouts. Number one, they're giving women the views, and number two, they're influenced by what women say, especially if it sounds like something that men want to hear. But you got to be very careful and read between the lines. See, a number of men are very naive, and see, money, power, and influence plays to a man's emotional instability or instability and gullibleness. Because see, as men, a trait that's always used against us when it comes to money, power, and influence of society is the fact that we're supposed to provide and protect. But when you deal with this modern day feminist Marxist, it doesn't work any longer. Why? Because you become a tool. And when you become a tool, and once you get used up, you get disposed of. And the cycle happens over and over and over again. You see, the world wants to keep men who are not in power ignorant. This is why you have a number of individuals out here who are traitorous men who really don't want to see MGTOW or red pill content. Why? Because it's a threat to their financial gain. And with these guys being traitors, it threatens the feminist Marxists, because some of these men are feminist Marxists themselves. I've never heard it when you as a man are going against another man who's trying to teach you how to be a man. But that's coming from the influence of a woman, because I guarantee you some of these YouTubers who want to be MGTOW and red pillars, they might not be doing the work themselves. There could be some woman whispering something in their ear, and they're directing these men to go out and basically talk falsely about red pill and MGTOW. This is why I say, as a man, you have to have your eyes open. And also, when you see a number of traitorous men out here who have all the money, power, and influence, they want to utilize their resources again, to keep you on the plantation. They want to encourage you to utilize the plantation thinking for the American dream. And what I'm talking about is you have the family, you have the 2 kids. But what happens in the long run, that encouragement that you're given to have a family doesn't work because marriage doesn't benefit men. It never has benefited men ever since the Divorce Act. And that happened in the 70s, the No Fault Divorce Act. And that was staged by the feminists. But these corporations like blue pill men as well, because it's a chance for them to make revenue. And see, this is going much further than what we talk about when it comes to being red pill and MGTOW. What I'm doing, I'm blowing up the picture exponentially so you can see what's happening here. It's all systematic. You see, when you get men who fake themselves as red pill or MGTOW, and then what they want to do is try to influence true red pill and MGTOW to have women on their side, that's a trap. That's a trap that's telling the true red pill or MGTOW man that coming back to the plantation is safe, when we know very well it is not safe. It's destructive. And so a number of men who are traitorous cannot be red pill or MGTOW because they've been influenced by women. And they figure they can utilize that woman's influence on you. Do you know there was a women's march a few months ago? And I saw men in that women's march. And men were wearing vaginas on their heads just like the women were. And when I see that, that tells you right then and there that the men who march with women are blue pill men. They're comfortable with being on a plantation. And they are threatened by men who are red pill and MGTOW. But yet these are the men who come on MGTOW and red pill channels and want to flag true red pill and MGTOW channels. These are guys who have not been coached by men. Their whole life has been bombarded by women. They couldn't escape the public school system. A number of them went to college. They didn't have the trade skills or the mathematical skills to get a good trade or go into a STEM program. So they went into programs in social science and they became social justice warriors just like these women. And if you're a red pill or MGTOW man and you buck against feminist Marxists, the feminists will utilize their guys, the traitorous men that come after you. I call them buffer guys. And they're buffers because a number of women don't want to do the dirty work themselves. They want to utilize the feminist men to do the dirty work that come after you. But here's the reason why it never works. You see, when you're a true red pill and MGTOW man, you stay the course. This is why the road is easy to travel when you are looking with your eyes and you are basically getting a picture of what's going on. You've drawn a picture out. It's like being a drafter. You see something, you draw it out, and you analyze it. Well, this is what a true MGTOW and a red pill man does. This is why we are true problem solvers. And before we speak, we think about what we say. But see, a true blue pill man is caught up in his emotions. He's easily persuaded. And the ones who you see on YouTube who come to red pill and MGTOW channels, or they pose red pill or MGTOW, they're true blue pill men who are basically angry because they can't get women. But their whole lives have been caught up in deception from their mothers onto their female teachers, their aunts, their sisters. They had problems when it came to the dating game, and all they're doing is evoking anger. And they utilize the name to make themselves feel good, kind of like how feminists do. You have a number of women who don't know what feminism is, but they walk into feminism because it sounds good, although they haven't been educated to understand the ideology of feminism and how destructionable it is when it comes to tearing down the man, the woman, and the family. And this is why I always encourage a number of men out here not to get married. It's okay if you have a conversation with a woman, but keep it moving. Because when it comes to a number of men out here, they're caught up in what women say, especially if it sounds like something they want to hear. And you have a number of channels with women who are actually attractive enough to get men to donate to their channels. And these women get a lot of views and subscribers from traitorous, because of traitorous men who are actually viewing their channels. And they're getting inside the man's head mentally. And the men emotionally believe what they really want to believe, that the woman is God. But they don't understand that's plantation thinking. It's like when blacks were slaves, what was used to control blacks was religion. Well, a woman's looks and sexuality are used to control a number of men. And this is why men, particularly a number of the younger men and some older men, cannot be red pill or MGTOW. And also, they have not gone through anything in their lives, particularly some of these young men and some of the older men who have been married as well. They haven't had to go through the system. But trust me, once something comes at them that's going to set them back, you will then find out how they handle it. Now, many of them may go running back to their mom for advice. And what's the mom going to do? The mom's going to tell them sweet nothings. Because a number of the moms out here, they've given men or their boys incorrect information. This is why all moms out here aren't true. And in this part 3 edition, I'm pointing out the money, power, and influence, because that's what drives this society. And the reason why you have the child support system is because the government makes it very, very incentive-wise for women to be irresponsible. And so the welfare system can't sustain itself. They want to call the dad in the picture to replenish the welfare system via child support. Well, when it comes to men out here, they're running that system. Because if you think about it, in America, most of your corporations are run by men. Your politicians are men. Your business owners are men. Your media owners are men. You have more men in the education system, although you have a number of women who are influencing men in the education system as well. But if you look at it, if this society is run by men, then why do we live in a gynocentric culture? Why are the individuals who are strong being run by the weak? The answer is very simple. Number one is sex. And number two, it's more money for the people who are in charge. And see, women are being used as a buffer between the powerful men and the working men And the reason why the powerful men use the women, it's very simple. So the powerful men can stay in power. See, a man is a threat to another man, but a woman isn't a threat to another man. See, men, we can utilize brute strength. Women, they don't have the strength that we have, so they can be more conniving. But at the end of the day, when it comes to a number of men being red pill or MGTOW, well, the true red pill and MGTOW men always stay the course. It's the weak ones you have to worry about because they straddle the fence. They're like women. They will go where the wind blows. In other words, they don't pick a side. Even though they should pick the side of a man, they're being influenced by women. And the sex is influencing a number of these guys. This is why they will stay the course with a woman by spending a lot of money on her, because in his mind he thinks he's going to get sex from her. But that woman is not thinking about giving him sex, because that woman has another guy that she's going to run into when she finishes utilizing you. You see, money, power, and influence creates an ignorant and a weak man. And what these weak men do, they utilize the platform by calling themselves red pill or MGTOW. And that influence that they got from women continues to keep them weak, makes them emotional. And this is why it's very easy to call these weak guys out. And you have a lot of men out here who are effeminate. You can't trust them. Because when it comes to MGTOW and red pill, it's a philosophy. It is not a movement. And you have strong guys out here who stay committed. And that's another reason why there are a number of men who can't be MGTOW or red pill, because they're not committed. Again, when I say straddling the fence, they think like feminists. Because if you look at it, feminists really want society both ways because it benefits them. They want the traditionalism of a man, but yet they're not going to do what they used to do when it was traditionalism. But then they want to be the modern woman at the same time. Well, that's how a number of these men think. Their whole influence comes from feminist Marxism, and this is why a number of men cannot be red pill or MGTOW. They only use these platforms to hide under, because number one, they're ignorant and they're weak, and the acronym makes them feel good, but they don't know anything about being red pill or MGTOW, just like every woman doesn't know what being a feminist is. But as a man, a true red pill or MGTOW man, you will always be red pill and MGTOW when you understand the system. The system is unfair to men. And it's good that we have a number of MGTOWs and red pill men who are staying the course. See, the more of us who come out to the playing field, the less power, money, and influence for the powerful to have. Why? Because we get knowledge, and we're getting our knowledge free, and we don't need the government. We don't need corporations. We don't need media. We don't need religion. And we don't need education to tell us how to run our lives, because we're not influenced by it. But to sum everything up in this video, the real reason, and this part 3, why a number of men cannot be MGTOW is because, number one, the power. Number two, the money. Number three, the influence. The power is other men who are being utilized by feminists. So these men who are being used by feminists can stay on power and supply these feminists with government programs. The influence. Well, the feminists who are on a plantation are telling a number of these men that if you go over to be red pill or MGTOW, you're a misogynist. You hate women. So the shaming tactics, the conniving, the manipulation that these feminists have on a number of men basically keeps men from getting the knowledge from true red pill and true MGTOW men. And when that happens, the influence from these feminists, based on threats, and again manipulation, keeps men on a plantation and under the control of the feminist Marxists and the money. Breaking it down to you. Well, without weak men and blue pill men, guess what? Your retailers are out of business. Because Valentine's Day, birthdays, Christmas, restaurants, anything that deals with what a man does for her is going to be reduced if more men become red pill and MGTOW. And when that happens, the powerful lose their power. And we all know what happens when the power collapses. We have anarchy. Now, in ways, anarchy is good because once the powerful is threatened by the peasants or the working men, well, that creates a check and balance system. Well, see, the powerful, they don't want that because they feel good about themselves when they're controlling you as a man. See, these individuals in power aren't smart men at all because they allow the totalitarianism thinking via the feminist Marxists to control them. And once they're controlled, then they control you with the system. And when it comes to anything in life, to be a true man, you have to understand what's going on around you. You can't be naive. You can't be weak. You can't be emotional. But a number of men who call themselves red pill and MGTOW, and they try to infiltrate themselves onto red pill and MGTOW platforms, what they're doing is they're trying to water down the philosophy, and they can't do it because it's a brick wall. Because a true red pill and a MGTOW man knows his worth. And when you're a weak man, and when I say weak, I'm just not talking about strength, I'm talking about mind. You're always going to be called out. You're going to be called out because of your ignorance. So, my suggestion to all you blue pill men out here who try to prey on true MGTOW and red pill men, it's not going to work. You're wasting your time. Stay on the plantation. But I guarantee, and I'm going to tell you this right now, you will be a red pill or MGTOW man once you know that the system is against you. And if you don't believe me, you ask the CEO of Amazon. You ask the ex-husband of Arianna Huffington. You ask all these men out here who were powerful and they had to give half or more of their earnings that they worked so hard for to their ex-wives. And when you look at the powerful who are getting raped, then all you men who put down the red pill and the MGTOW men, but yet you come on the channels trying to hide under the name red pill or MGTOW, you'll see for yourself that the system will get you as well. It may not have happened, but it's coming. And when it does happen, because you betrayed true red pill and MGTOW men, you're always going to be on a plantation. Because a traitor is never supported. Your ignorance for you fake red pill and MGTOW men keeps you right where you are. On a plantation, begging for sex from this modern day woman who doesn't care anything about you as long as you are giving her your resources. And at the end of the day, as a man, I want peace, not war. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Song Radio Show. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. Once again, my name is Leon Jones. I'm out.